Hello, my name is Brittany Frompovich, and I'm here with this month's edition of Wonder Women, stories from the women who play bass. And I am joined by Suzy Starlite from Portugal. Hello,
Hello.
Suzy.
Hi, Brittany.
How you doing?
Doing really well, actually. A bit excited, actually. I'm really looking forward to chatting to you. I've been watching your Wonder Woman series, and it's just such an inspiration. So thanks for having me on.
Thanks for being here. Thanks for being here. So, uh, I've been reading through. We talked before the interview. I've been reading through the written portion, which, by the way, dear viewers, check out the written portion below this video interview. And just kind of going through your website and listen to some tracks. And I've got to admit, there's some tracks now in my exercise workout mix. Thanks for that. And there is so much here to unpack about you: motorcycles, dogs, a love story, uh, blues, and electronica, and folk. And there's so many flavors. A studio. Um, I've been reading, but maybe introduce yourself for our viewers, if you don't mind, real quick.
Okay, I'm Suzy Starlight. I'm totally in love with playing bass. I'm a musician, a songwriter. I'd say primarily, first and foremost, a songwriter. Definitely the song and the music is what motivates me. And so I fall in love with the bass, and the bass is the language that I use to serve the song. So I think I've realised that now. Full-time musician. I'm married to the love of my life, Simon Campbell. And we live in Portugal with our two Labradors, Bobby and Hummock, and we run our own independent record label, Supertone Records. We have a recording studio, Vintage Analog. I'm kind of in our playroom now. This is where we live. So we have a recording studio, and we're analog geeks, and I'm a member of the Starlight Campbell band with Simon. So I'm Suzy Starlight, he's Simon Campbell, and we're married, and together we have this band, and we're on a musical adventure, just traveling around Europe, and we've lived in different countries, in France, in Spain, in Germany, in the Isle of Man, and now we're in Portugal, on an adventure, just trying to live life and meet beautiful people and make beautiful music. I think that's us, or me in a nutshell.
Nice, nice. Well said. Well said. You summarized that nicely. So, you've been in this music industry a long time, and you wrote about it a little bit. It's a life of self-employment, as most of us know. We're working for ourselves. If we're lucky, we manage to pull a team together that would help us. And it takes a lot of long days, a lot of motivation, and the ability to be a self-starter. Oof. So, how do you stay motivated and inspired?
Um, I think it's a love of the music, really, and we've just started. I think it helps being part of a musical team. That really has helped. So together, it's not just me on my own, which has always been, because it's a difficult, it's a completely difficult life. It's by a choice, but we've just started doing some live streams as well. So we have like now a weekly goal, especially with lockdown. It's like something that we can do on a weekly basis. It keeps us going. We have projects that we're working towards in different genres and different thoughts and emotions. And yeah, I think it's just being part of a team that we inspire each other. So one of us is a bit, low, we'll pick the other one up, sort of thing. But I think the inspiration and the motivation for me is always about the music. I can't help it. I'm just totally obsessed. I think it's a case of wanting, and I think it's about the language of how it brings people together. I'm really, I really love people. But I like talking to people through that language. And I think getting people together in a room is such and sharing stories in the music, and having that sort of celebratory time together is always like the joy of life. And that's what I love to be a part of, really. It's just, I always want to be in that position, and I love being surrounded by music and writing stories and connecting us all together, really.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'm quite curious. Tell us about the live stream. Where do we find it? What's it about?
Yeah, do you know, this is a really odd thing. So when we had lockdown and obviously we had the whole live stream thing started, we ended up doing this duo in Germany at the time. And we ended up being on this lockdown festival on a Saturday night, and we'd never done it before. So, like most people were going, "Oh, how do you stream?" Da, 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 da. And we ended up being on this most random festival where I think there were, I don't know, like 70,000 people suddenly were watching from all over the world. And so we did a few of these festivals, but it didn't feel like I wanted to do a regular music live stream. So what we were doing was doing like a little minute like comedy video, every day a little bit about your life or something, or and we ended up sort of doing that kind of thing, and then we just went back on tour because we've just released our second album, The Language of Curiosity, and we had this like epic 6 week tour where we're in the UK and we went across Europe and we went to the Czech Republic and we played a festival in the Netherlands, and you could really sense all across Europe and the countries we visited with people that there was a brokenness, even like when we first played our first festival after 20 months of not playing, there was almost a moment I was looking at all these people and I almost wanted to run off stage. I was frightened because I wasn't used to people because we've been so isolated. And I think with the live streams, and I really just wanted to explain that because when we came back, I suddenly realized that this was a time to do it, to do the music, to do the stream, just a midweek music fix, so that if if you couldn't get to if you didn't want to go out because of your health, or you just wanted something where you could just hang out, it just felt like I knew then that was the right time to do the streaming. So it's been a real organic sort of arrival at this. So I think we're on show 9 now. So every Wednesday at 20:30 GMT, anywhere we stream on our Facebook, our Starlight Campbell Band Facebook page, on our YouTube channel, on Twitch, on Instagram, on Twitter. It's like the whole social thing, and it's been so, it's a really frightening, weird thing to do when there's no one there, and like, but we're starting to get used to people chatting. But this live stream thing is given us such meaning, and also I think it's given us meaning because we can give in that way. And so we challenge ourselves every week to do a new song. We play ours, but we've taken some of the full band arrangements and we're stripping it back down and sort of pimping it up. And we're sequential artists, so we have a 10 piece drum machine, or I'll play cajon and bass, or I'll swap over to piano. We've got a Wurlitzer, a lovely old, I think it's 1974 Wurlitzer electric piano. So we're just changing it up, and it's been, that is actually something that's really inspiring us on a weekly basis, where we're actually pushing ourselves and sharing a worldwide living room. Because thinking about it as well, we can't, no matter if we taught every single day of the week, we would not be able to play live for everybody. You just can't get to everyone. So we're just thinking, let's give that way. And and naturally, I think if you're giving, you'll get the people who like your kind of music, or want to come and hang out with you. It's building, and that's what I love. We're building a family, a community, and so yeah, that's it. I get it. It's so life changing, really. I mean, it's really lifted our spirits, and also when you're actually doing something as opposed to just thinking about it, it's amazing. It's amazing the friends and new friends that we're making, and the people who've just discovered us by accident. There's so much love happening. There's so much because you're actually doing something. It's quite incredible. So yeah, that's our live stream. Starlight and Campbell streaming live, and it's great as well because the girls, so we've got the two Labradors, they're studio hounds, and so now and again they'll just walk onto set, as it were. So in the middle of the stream, they're just like, there was the first week we didn't even notice Hummock, our black Labrador. She just walked on. She was hanging out. They just walked through, and it's just, it's very, very, very natural. Yeah, fun.
Nice. Yeah. Speaking of that, my cat may come in.
Really
She announced
cool.
a little bit ago. I might be toggling my mic on and off. We'll see. So, Oh, that's awesome. That's refreshing. You're finding a tribe out there who's loving your music and keeping people connected through the pandemic. So
Yeah,
let's see, musicians during the pandemic. Now this actually I guess ties in.
yeah.
So we've all had to grow our skill sets. Excuse me. I'm learning how to use a DSLR as a video camera, those kinds of things. What are you most curious to learn about this year?
I think what I'm discovering is that I'm actually sort of playing a lot more piano at the moment because the weird thing is, right, when I was born, my parents had sold my grandfather's piano. In fact, both my grandfathers died before I was born. But I heard the history of this piano that I never got to see because it had gone. But I was always drawn to piano. So everybody's house I went to, even as like a 2, 3 year old, I'm going ding, 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 ding. And my friends at school, my friend Jill Garford, I was 11. I was always on a piano. I think it used to annoy her a bit sometimes because I'm like drawn to the piano, but I taught myself through her grade books. Um, and what I'm discovering now is it's actually helping me. So there's a song from our new album, Take Time to Grow Old, and I had to learn it by ear, and I practiced it for like 2 months. Now, our keyboard players, by the way, with the Starlight Campbell band, we're so fortunate to play with some beautiful keyboard players and Hammond organ players. We've played with Josh Phillips, who's the keyboard player, Hammond organ player for Procol Harum. We've got Johnny Henderson on the album, who's played with Matt Schofield and Kurt Fletcher, and Gabriele Del Vecchio, who's from Italy, but we met him in Spain. And Johnny, there's Johnny and Christian Madden, who's actually Liam Gallagher's uh, keyboard player at the moment. So he's the guy sat behind the rock and roll banner on stage. So we literally just come off tour with Christian. So I've got these keyboard players, and there's me, like Starlight, age 3, yeah. And but I listened, and I had to, and I got the stem, so I could really hear it. And my journey's been to learn how to play our songs. And so I'm going from bass and to keyboards, but then that's actually helping me become a better bass player as well, especially from the writing perspective, because I'm getting more of an understanding, because I love melodic bass as well. I love melodies as well as just the groove. So this year, I'd say it's always the song that inspires me, but I'm not just limited. I'm not just limited to playing the bass, even though the bass is like my avatar dragon. We are one. Me on my bass. Totally and utterly my instrument. But I'm finding that I'm learning other instruments and playing, and that's making the whole bass playing experience. It's enriching me as a musician as well.
How many instruments do you play?
Ah,
If you don't mind me asking.
well, it's funny, right? Um, a little bit. Okay, my first instrument was a harmonica, and I loved that because we had a Springer Spaniel growing up. Only play harmonica for hounds. They love to sing along. So I used to love picking out a tune on a harmonica. So I played descat and treble. I was doing percussion as well. Then I got to school and I played violin for a term, but I didn't really get on with violin. And then I ended up playing French horn. So I played the French horn, which gave me a fantastic introduction to brass bands and to the school orchestra. Um, and my mum got me an acoustic guitar at 16 because I had to stop playing French horn because I had braces on from the orthodontist. So I couldn't play anymore. So so I play acoustic, and I taught myself piano all the way through that, and sight reading, especially in the bass clef, was always a difficult thing to get my head into. Play a bit of mandolin. So when I was in my folk rock band, I used to play a couple of songs on mandolin, um, sing, um, yeah, and bass really. But so that's a kind of. Oh, and I love, I used to play xylophone. I love xylophone, so I like to play that. But I'm not like a Ruth Underwood or anything, from Zappa. But I just, I'll try anything. Oh, and I love the flutes as well. I had a little piccolo flute, like a recorder. I just, I just love everything that I can try and get a sound out of, really.
Any conduit out of your body, it finds a way.
Yeah, yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So what is something you've done only one time in your career so far that you can't wait to do a second time if you were given the opportunity?
Mm. Now, the when Sam and I first got together, we went to Nashville, and um, we went to Denver, and we played a couple of gigs, and went to some jams as well. And so, what we really want to do, what I want to do, is a USA tour.
Nice.
That would be just so amazing. And so, what's happening at the moment is we've got a new live album out, and well, it's going to be out. We're mixing it at the moment. Starlight Camel Band live. There's going to be a short sort of crowd fund, but also it's going to be going on for a few months, and so sales from that we're hoping to fund our USA, to, to sort of airfares and stuff. But also we're going to be flying into the States for some business meetings in Memphis in May for the Blues Awards, and there's an International Blues Challenge. Because we had a Zoom meeting with a really, really important blues guy. He said, you know what, there's something happening in Memphis in May where usually the two, like the IBCs and the awards, are in two different times, like January and May. He said, you need to be in Memphis. That's where everyone's going to be there. You want to book this tour for 2023 because we're already talking to festivals now about next year. He said, you need to be there. And that's the way. And we've lost 2 years with the pandemic. And it's like, do you know, why don't we just go? So we're on this adventure. So we're doing a quick crowdfund, and we're just gonna get ourselves into the States. We've got friends in Nashville that we're gonna go and see again. A good friend of ours, Monty Hitchcock, who used to be Emmylou Harris's manager. So we haven't seen him for 10 years. And his partner Janice Oliver, and so who's Sweethearts of the Rodeo. So we're going to go and see them in Nashville, hopefully, if they're in town at the time that we're there, and go down to Muscle Shoals as well, because we know a guy called Daniel Stoddard who's a musician, and so we're and the whole thing is really just to get out there and meet people. And so that's the thing that we really want to do, is because and it's not just for the sake of it being, oh, it's America, or it's because we feel our music really connects. We really connect with our American friends. It's like it feels home, and that's why we want to do it, because it feels like it's meant to be. So that's why we're doing it.
Awesome. Good luck with that. Good luck.
Thanks. No, it's exciting.
At one point, you and your husband, I was reading this in your interview, the written part. I wanted you to elaborate on this a little bit. At one point, you and your husband had a commercial studio. And then at one point, you reorganized to have a mobile setup so you could focus more on your own material versus doing commercial recording of other bands. I am personally wildly curious, and maybe our listeners are too. Please come along for the ride for that one, to hear more about this mobile studio setup you have going.
It's one of these things when we accidentally fell in love and we realized that we were meant to be together. It was such a surprise to us. We went to France straight away and just said, right, we're going on the road. We're gonna go back on the road as touring musicians, together through Europe. Um, and then when we got to Spain, because we moved, we were songwriting there, and that's why we did the Electrolyte project, which is an electronica project as well as some finishing off a second solo album. With the studio, we had some gear anyway, but what we did is we sold anything that wasn't connected to a musical living or gear. We sold that, including a house, so that we could buy gear to record beautifully recorded music for the rest of our lives. And that's it, because we thought house music, to actually. So we thought, well, that's a no-brainer, because we can sit and be safe in a house in a sense, but we can't do anything, So we had to unleash that equity so we could have the studio. So we rent, but this is our studio here where we are now. So here's Betty, a 48 channel Cadac analog console named after my grandmother. who's on the front cover of Blueberry Pie our album. And so yeah, we and it's all sort of vintage outboard gear. It's semi-mobile, so it's all in shop-mounted flight cases. But there's two things that we can't that are very very difficult. So Betty comes in a big flight case, but she's like 1,000 pounds in weight. So it's 6-man lift or six strong woman lift. And we've got also it's like an 1898 Steinweg upright piano, which is like 1,100 pounds. It was just before Steinway changed their name from to Steinway. It was Steinweg. So we've got this upright piano. So it is semi-mobile, but that takes some lifting as well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
and yeah, it's gear. We so I mean we had this going back to the studio. So when we had this, we rented this place and we had this, you know, the Laurel Canyon. We were thinking about music and about when we have artists in, like we had Grammy Award winning artists. We were recording jazz artists like Chris Cheek flew in from New York, and we had these amazing. We've had bluegrass. We've had Curly Strings from Estonia. We had all these amazing artists coming in, and we had this ethos. We'd all live in the same place. We'd cook together. We'd we'd record each other together, and you'd feel good. You'd be in this bubble, so you could record to your best and beyond maybe your dreams because you're in this space. And then obviously when our first album Blueberry Pie, we wrote an album together in 2 weeks. We decided we were going to write an album. Simon and I wrote it in 2 weeks. Steve Gibson, our amazing drummer, flew out. I'd only just started playing bass by then, and we rehearsed together for 2 days and then recorded. Anyway, Blueberry Pie just went mega, like it was just so well received all around the world. We went, what do we do? So the whole reason why we didn't do the commercial anymore was because we wanted to go on the musical journey ourselves with the music, our band, because I don't think you can do both. You either do the commercial or you do you as the musician, really, because so we went back up north. So the whole thing with the studio and the semi-mobile, it's been a real sacrifice, and we're very fortunate for that. And it has saved our bacon, as it were, through the pandemic, because it meant that we could still record. We can still write demos, and just put down your scratch tracks and just see how it sits. When it comes to the drums, though, I always like to play. We always record in the room. I have to play bass and drums together because you get that groove. So there's some things that you just can't do, what we don't do remotely, as it were. But then Simon he's a producer, so he'll get some mixes in. But yeah, between us, it's I know we've got like this studio, and it's a lifetime of learning. And I feel so fortunate, but it feels so natural now. So yeah, it was a choice, and if in for a penny, in for a pound, as they say, and we're full on in.
yeah, no doubt. Looking at that room behind you, that's impressive. Closed up the flight cases and go, and there's just some friends to lift that board out. So that's
Yeah,
pretty cool.
we didn't even have a washing machine until we got to Germany, and then we had to buy Wolfgang the washing machine because there wasn't one in the house we rented. So we try not to own stuff. We had to get a bed. Um, I got a couple of sofas on the German. Oh, there's your cat. Just saw your cat go in the background. Excellent. Um, so literally try not to be um, to have too much stuff. But
That makes
if
sense.
yeah, because it was it William Morris said, if it's not beautiful, it's not practical. Why have you got it? Because it actually costs to own stuff. So we're just trying to just keep it sort of focused in, really.
Nice, nice. Yeah, cameo there by Pepper.
Hi, Pepper.
She's looking out the window at the neighbors right now. So, what is the best advice you've ever been given?
Mm. That's a really good question as well, because this reminds me actually of there's a guy that we know called Ant Alonso, and he's half Spanish, half English from Manchester, and he said he's the best piece of advice I think he gave me about 10 years ago. He said, "Starlight, don't look back, don't stand still, and don't ever let anyone put you down." And it kind of, and he was just being like real protective and loving for me, but it was like, yeah, don't live in the past, and don't stand still either. Just keep doing your thing, and don't, and a bit of self-love, and I just think those three actually, they've stood me well, because when things get a bit tricky sometimes, you kind of go, yeah, don't keep on looking back, just keep getting up every day, even if one step at a time, you know and just, you know it's a bit troublesome out there at the moment, so it's all good just to be a bit kind, isn't it? And just,
Doubt. No doubt.
self-love, and to also know that you're worth it. You're worth loving, you're worth, the love that you have is valuable too, that you can give to people. Just having a bit of kindness. It's been a bit difficult, isn't it, the last couple of years, just completely madly bonkers, and it's not getting any better, so in other ways. So, kindness, I mean, I notice that with people. Kindness is such an important thing right now, to yourself as well, to love yourself, to eat well, just to rest well, to have good people around you, and to be a good listener.
Well put. Well put. It's going to help a lot of people, I think, right there. What would you be doing right now if it was not for your music career?
Don't-
If you can even conceive of such a thing.
it's the whole thing though, because I've been doing lots of different things at the same time all the time. It's when I've been when I went to Salford, say, so I went to media. I did this course, media and performance, and it's a tapas of everything. And so I'm always interested. And you inspired me with your interview the other day, when you're saying that you're a creative, but you do other things as well. You make jewelry. You have other ways of expressing your creative voice, and and I think that I've always done lots of different things, because I like to find out how things work. So, I'd go and work on a BBC drama, and I spent 10 months just, working as crew, and came out thinking, yeah, I'm either going to be the actor or the director. I don't really want to do that. But, at least I know now how they make top quality professional dramas. I've been on film sets, so I just like to know how things work. So if it wasn't with the music, there's one thing, even though I didn't want to pursue a career as an actress, um, I do love art installations, and I love that whole. I like sculpture, I like art, I like. I don't know if you've heard of a theatre company called Punch Drunk Theatre Company.
I have.
They take over old abandoned buildings, yeah. And so I worked on the very first Manchester International Festival, um, and it's like this trailblazing thing where they have premieres, and it was the first one, and I got into the Punch Drunk had done this whole installation. You go in, and they just see on the tickets, don't wear high heels, flats, and I'm like, okay. And I love these kind of scenarios where you're actually you went in, and there was this white room full of white hospital beds, and you all sat on your own in different beds, right? And you waited, all these people, all actors, but dressed up as nurses, yeah? And you go, where am I? And you ended up going through this promenade performance where you ended up at the reception of the Bates Hotel, with their, and you go into like this whole room where there's been a murder scene or something. Then you've got these people with these masks on, and some of them are mannequins and some of them are real people, but you can't tell. It's really spooky. And then, just to quickly sum this up, so you've got this whole thing. They started chasing us, and I was with all these strangers. We were barricaded in these rooms. We ended up going down through these cages, like caged corridors with these single lights, and there was a blue and a red pill on a table. And then you go around again, a chainsaw chained to a desk, and as you went on, suddenly you hear this chainsaw start up, and somebody start running towards you, while the whole lot of us just ran. It was the most frightening thing. Absolutely. And you know, and as you're running around a corner, there's someone there scaring you, and you're just like going and you're going through turnstiles. I mean, that kind of thing, by the way, I would do. I would do that. I think I would, because what I want to do, I think the whole of life where it comes to the music or the stories and the songs, because really I'm a storyteller. We've worked this out, you know, our job is to tell stories and to document life now, the human condition, what it's like, and how we can know each other, how we can better learn from each other, and how we can really kick the arse out of life as well while we've got it, you know, and to really celebrate each other. And I love any sort of art form or any kind of perspective that makes you look at something for the first time, something familiar, but you look at it fresh as if you've never seen it before. I think that's the gift of art, the gift of what we do, whether we use music or poetry or art, or you look at a painting or you look at a sculpture. That for me, any form of expression, just to help us, you know, connect. Even if you look at the stars, you know, and lie down and see the stars at night and just go, yeah, this is the context, you know?
Nice.
Yeah.
What is the thing you are most proud of to date? Career or personal life or both?
Ah, so it's a weird word, you know, proud, because it's something, especially from the British perspective, that you can't really say proud, if you know what I mean. You can be, but it's almost, you don't want to be arrogant with it. Um, I've got to say, so one personal and one professional. The personal one was that I'm forever the runaway bride, and I managed to actually find somebody on this planet that I went, you're the one. Because I seriously, I'm such a free spirit. I never thought in a month of Sundays I'd ever marry, ever, because I didn't want that. I didn't like the institution. I didn't, you know, I respect it for other people, but for me, I didn't think it would ever fit me or belong with me. I've got to say, I still giggle now because Summer still says to me, you know, we are married. And I just giggle, go, yeah, you're right. You know, because it's such still. I mean, we don't even know how long. Really, I think it's like 9 years. Um, but I think the biggest gift that life has given, and I'm so glad I celebrate it that way, is that I finally found somebody who makes the world right. You know, I've actually found somebody who together now, I don't, it just, the world suddenly just clicked, and it's like, yeah. And suddenly it all became, I don't want it to sound cheesy, but it just feels right now, you know? It's always been a different experience, and I've always been like curious and stuff, but yeah, so that was for me. And we played Electrolyte, by the way, on a wedding day. When we got married, he whisked me in when the guitar solo came in. We got married in on the shores of Loch Fyne in the seat of Clan Campbell, because it's Simon Campbell. So we went up to where his family seat, the Campbells come from. So that for me is something I'm very excited about. And from a musician, from a musical point of view, I've got to say, I really am so grateful, and I love the fact that we have our music out on vinyl, that we've put so much effort into the quality of the recording and the songs. You know, and I'm thinking that that's our love letter to the world. It's our time capsule. It's a moment when we're giving everything we have. I mean, it's like wringing out your bones. I mean, seriously, we are so obsessed with trying to make it the best quality. It's not about being perfect, by the way. It's not about that, but just really listening to the mix and the analog. And you know, we're doing a mix, and I'll come in and close, and I'm the fresh ears. I'll just come in and we'll just think, how does that feel? You know, and does it excite me? You know, and I think that's what we're really proud of, is that we work our backsides off to really give the best we possibly can. And that's what so yeah, I'm just, you know, when anyone buys our albums, though, is that I'm like, thanks, you know, it is so exciting. You just know you've done your best. It's like, yeah, you write that over, you know, this is 180 gram. It's like, You know, it's mastered by John Astley, and he's like done like the Rolling Stones and Led Zeppelin, and he's the top of his field. And the Lacquers are cut it, Abbey Road by Miles Shower, you know. So, you know, and it's like we've done our very, very best to give you the best. And that's it. There you go.
And I indicate that the other part, you've done your best, but it's when that landing with a listener.
Yeah.
Yeah. That
Yeah.
I felt I needed to say that. Like it just wasn't quite said. But the way you were talking about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. I hope I didn't put
Yeah.
words in your mouth. Looks like I
No, no,
did.
no.
That's
Yes, I
good.
get that completely. I do. I
That's
do.
good.
Yeah, yeah. Thanks. Thanks.
So I have a dangerous question. Feel free to say pass if you don't
Hmm.
want to answer it. But I want to ask it because I feel like I should, especially for female artists. What is
Mm.
something that you are not getting credit for that you absolutely should be getting credit for?
Mm.
Ooh,
It's I like, you know, you it's really good. And these questions, you've got to,
I do what I can.
yeah, yeah, but I think it's really important that you ask that because it's like, because I'm really easygoing, you know. I don't, I actually like, you know, being in the music, that's it, you know. It, I'm not really like, look at me or anything like that. I just, but sometimes I think having in different cultures as well, I don't know why, and it's not, I don't know why, but sometimes I've come across people who think that Simon's written all the songs, that they don't know that I co-write or that I, you know, I've, and or they think it's Simon's studio when, you know, I it's our studio, you know. So it's like there are some times when it's like it might just be, oh, it's the man thing, when actually it's no, it's actually very much an equal partnership. And I think that's just something, maybe, I don't know if it's unusual. I just laugh about it. I don't understand, as in, I don't want to get angry about it. I just say, oh, you know, yeah, I co-write. I write all the best lyrics, by the way. This is what we do. We have a bit of a joke. It's like, you know that lyric, you know, there's a space behind your eyes that wasn't there before, like me looking in an empty room without a floor, you know, and it'd be like, yeah, I wrote that, you know, and just we'll wind each other up. But yeah, it's been a bit, because I don't see myself as female or male. I'm just existing, you know. I'm me. I'm Suzy Starlight, and so I don't understand when you know, I'm looked through because I'm a female. I still find that quite surreal, but I just don't dwell on it.
So I'm only adding this, and I don't talk a lot during these interviews because it is the subject's time to tell their story. But I feel like this might add. I have interviewed a woman who is part of a married couple who does work together, like you and your husband, and she had the same complaint. So I think, yeah, um, I'll you two should talk. That was startling how similarly that registered.
Yeah,
Oh,
I mean, I don't know. I mean, all I can do is just be me and just carry on. It's
yeah.
not anything I can do about that. It's just to educate, just to say, well, no, actually, or inform. It's not education. It's inform. It's like, yeah, I co-write. You know, I write melodies. I write music. I arrange. You know, I do everything. It's, you know, I just don't cook. You know, I'll mow the lawn, I'll paint the walls, I'll design things. You know, it's just, you know, but it's and I think it's just a case of people getting to know you, isn't it?
Yeah, I would say you're right. I think sometimes stereotypes kind of come in a little bit. She and I had talked about it, and whether right or wrong, I think people
Yeah,
just project something that may not be there based on a stereotype, you know?
yeah, I guess so. I'm always trying to keep soft, you know, to try and just like, and you know, just be kind. I mean, yes, there's a rock and roll. Don't get me wrong, there's rock and roll anger, you know, but that's in the music, you know, and that's when the music just gets me, and you know, and you're getting, you know, this, you're in a song and you just get yourself wound up because you're just so emotional, um, and I have that emotion, you know, but I just keep that in the music, you know. Yeah, of course, we're passionate people. How can you not do what you do? It's but I'm just, you know, I have to own I'm in charge of me, so I'm responsible for me. Can't do anything more than that. That's it.
There you go.
Mm.
Starting a career over from day one, what would you do differently, if anything?
Now this is really important though, because that's almost like, is it regret? You know, because I don't have regrets because I can't do anything about what I've done. You know, I can't
Hmm.
regret. That doesn't serve anything. It's like looking back and living in the past. It's gone. You know, it's like you've got today, the gift of today, and hopefully a promise of tomorrow. But that's it. You've got now. So the one thing, there was a musician that because obviously I just started playing bass when I was like 40, I don't know, 47 or something. I'm 55 now. 46. When I first started playing one, I was very shy, you know. I am quite shy, but I've got this double thing going on where I'm okay in the music, but I wish I'd jam more. Because what I was finding is that when we were living in Spain, when I first started really, when I was totally obsessed and falling in love with playing all the time. I mean, you know, you put the bass on and you grin, you know that, and you're just like, oh yeah, you know. Is that years and years ago you could go out and jam, and I knew about you're supposed to jam, but you know when people are filming you when you're just starting out learning, it's just not cricket. It's just not fun. And I remember I just I should have jammed more, and I still need to jam more. But I think, you know, there aren't any jams at the moment because, you know, it's been locked down for a while. But I do think that just going out and playing with as many different people as you can in different musical styles really teaches you. I've got to tell you this one really funny story, right? So we were in Valencia, and I was going down to this kind of jazz type jam, and in Cafe Begonia. So I started learning Sissy Strut by the Meters, right? Now, do you know Kid Anderson, who plays with Rick Estrin in the Nightcats, right? So there's this guy on YouTube, and I wanted to just check, right, that I'd got this right because I couldn't quite hear it. Oh, you've got to check him out. It's Kid Anderson, and it's the mistakes that musicians make, and it's Sissy Strut. Honestly, and he goes,
Okay.
"Da-da-da-da." He's okay. I'm with the meters. He's putting his cigarette down. He goes, "Da-da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da." Wrong. And he goes, and he's just so funny. And he goes, it's like this. And he goes, five. It's the G. And he's just so funny. And it really, honestly, you'll love him. And it's really funny because I started playing some sort of West Coast blues here with just jamming around. And Rick Estrin is fantastic, you know, for a different style. And it's him. I didn't realize at the time, by the way. So this dude who was in his garage doing the Sissy Strut from all those years ago, I thought, that's the guy. And I didn't know he was like this. I think he's Norwegian. He was like this child prodigy musician, and he plays with Rick Estrin in the Nightcats. And it's like, isn't that weird though that he did that? So just in terms of the jams though, I just think I really want to do that more, and I need to let go more, you know. It's like someone has said to me, it's like, you know, don't be afraid to make a mistake. Is that, but you know, as a guitarist, you can make a mistake and it's not so bad. But I feel as a bass player, because you're on that route a lot and you change everything quite dramatically if you really
Yeah.
cock that up. And I feel a bit of a responsibility. So I'd rather keep it simple, but I want to learn more about playing with different people. And sometimes, you know, I hear a melody come and I want to just do a little, and, you know, I need to just get a little bit more free. And I think jamming helps you. So, yeah, that's that.
Nice.
Jamming.
Nice.
Jam.
All right. If a Starlight Campbell band could open a show for any artist, who would it be?
Well, I've got an ambition, by the way. What's a dream? What's an ambition? It's a dream. Red Rocks. It's got to be a Red Rocks. Because we went there.
There you
There's a
go.
guy that we know called Jim Drake he's a luthier, and he made Simon's a signature guitar. And we went on the stage at Red Rocks 10 years ago, and I was like, God, you know when you know you want to play that place. And I was there's one artist I think. What's the point of opening so that people get to know a load of people get to know about you real quick, isn't it? What did they say with openers? You've got half an hour to try and steal someone's audience, or something like that. Um, and I think the moment because this blues rock thing that we really love, I think Joe Bonamassa is the guy that we should be opening for right now because the type of music we play, he's completely resurrected the blues rock guitar. I mean, he is the just really keeping the whole sort of genre alive, and he's collaborating with different artists right now. And interesting enough, he went to Abbey Road last year, or was it the year before? Anyway, he's got this album out called Royalty, and he's just obsessed with English British musicians, with Abbey Road, with the valve amps and stuff, and that Cream thing, and the whole sort of British blues invasion. And the thing is that we're British and we do that. We just haven't met him yet. So, in fact, if anything, if this is the matchmaking that you hope that you, because I love that about you. You ask these questions in case someone goes, you know what? I saw an interview with Suzy Starlite from the Starlight Campbell band. You should get her, Joe, and get her to open for you, because we would just be such complementary family, and we should meet because I want Simon and Joe to get in a room because they're both complete and utter guitar geeks with so much history and just passion about their craft. And to an extent, Simon will spend days and days and days, by the way, trying to find a tone for one song from the album. And when we're doing Blueberry Pie, he came in crying, going, I found the sound. Can you believe that? He just got it because he was just, like restless and really trying to get it. And so, yeah, Joe Bonamassa. Do you say Bonamassa or Bonamassa? I don't know.
Masa, but
Bonamassa.
I'm not entirely sure
Yeah.
myself.
Yeah, because we're kind of kick-ass rock and rollers, proper.
Nice. Yeah, I could see that. I could see that fit.
Yeah.
From a songwriter's perspective, what's the best way you found to move past a creative block?
10-minute break. That always helps. Um, I've got this song actually at the moment. I'm writing on piano, and I've got to a certain place with it, and I leave it alone for a bit. I just leave it because it's like I've got something I want to say, and I think I've just got a little bit more in the middle eight to do, but it's there, it's nearly there. But I'll just leave it for a bit because I know it'll when I'll sit back at the piano, and then I'll think, is today the day we're going to make it happen? So I don't get too stressed about it. So I've got um, a few in progress at the same time. I'm always like writing. So it's there. I always make notes on my phone, like lyrics and stuff. I'll tell you one thing that really helps as well is when we co-write, which we do a lot. If I've got something, someone maybe just come in with a chord and everything, say in the middle eight, and it'll just change it up and snap it in, and it's done. It just sometimes that collaborative mindset where you've got two different perspectives coming into the song actually just makes it disappears. The block disappears, just gets around the corner and we're off again. So there are two things, but I would say just not stress about it, because sometimes a song can come out real quick and it's there, it's done, and that's great. I mean, everyone talks about that. And other songs, they take a little bit more crafting, and you just like, life, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah,
Take it easy.
process.
Yeah.
So I see a bass behind you in its case. I think that's the Starlight T4.
The red one. Yeah. The red one, the shiny red one.
Shiny red one.
Yeah.
I understand that has an interesting story.
Yeah. Shall I bring it a bit closer? Shall I go
Yeah,
and get
if
it?
you like, if you like. It's a gorgeous bass.
It's
Mike Lowell, right?
yeah, Mike Earl. As
Nice.
soon as I pick it up, I want to go, yeah, I love this.
Oh yeah, yeah. That
Yes.
yeah.
So, it's got stainless steel frets, this one as well. Hip shot. just beautiful humbuckers. Oh, just anyway, I'll put it back. This bass, I know it's now this bass is a dragon. This is the avatar when you, I don't know if you watch Game of Thrones, but Dracarys. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So the story goes, when I first started playing bass, and that just was all when I picked up a bass when we were in France, and I played just messing around. We had this bass in the house, and I just played on the one, and Simon just looked at me and said, "You're a bass player," and I'm like, "No, I'm not playing that. I don't play bass." So can you imagine that? It's like, and it's like, and I'm outside writing songs with keys and stuff, in this French countryside, very romantic with the wine, and so for our wedding present, Simon bought me a Mike Lowell Jazz, well, MV4
Okay.
bass, and so and I'd already got a Gretsch Sunjet short scale, and I just looked at him and said, "What do I need another one for? Because that's me, right?" So I've already got one. I've got little fingers. I'm just going to play the short scale, and I'm really happy. And he's like, "No, no." And then that was my go-to bass. What I didn't realize, the MV4 is the one that I really learned my craft on. I spent all those hours together, and then what I didn't know is that so I'll tell you how I found out. We were in Germany, and I walked into the studio, and Simon was on a Zoom call with this guy from America, a young guy. I was like, and he said, "Darling, darling, come say hello to Spencer." And I said, "Hey, okay," because it's very odd because it doesn't usually talk to Americans on Zoom in the middle of the afternoon in Germany. And he said, "Oh, yeah, this is Spencer Lowell, Mike Lowell's son." And I thought, what? What? And I just said, "What? The Mike Lowell? The Mike Lowell that changed my life? You mean the Mike Lowell, the bass guy?" And he said, "Yeah." And I, "Oh my God." And it was so sad and so beautiful. Well, Mike sadly died in February in 2020. And what I didn't know was that Simon had been talking to Mike to get me this bass. And he was secretly plotting to get me this bass. So sadly, when Mike died, suddenly um, obviously the project was on hold, and what Simon was doing was that he was just picking it back up because Spencer's now taken over the company. He's picked up the legacy. He's a great bass player himself, um, and so I spent a good hour just chatting to him, and talking about how much his dad had the craft he'd put into the bases, how much it changed my life. And so really what happens then together, so Spencer's my bass brother, and together with Simon we got the Starlight T4 custom, and it's like beautiful. So and it was just so I'm part now of the Mike Lowell family. I'm an artist on the website, and I just feel really blessed, But isn't that lovely when you actually have a relationship with the people that make your basses? You're into that, and it
Yeah.
just
Oh
makes
yeah.
things so. But this bass, seriously, it's like, what do I do with it? Well, we recently played the Great British Rock and Blues Festival in Skegness. It's like the biggest blues and rock festival in the UK. And my God, she's so much fun. Really amazing. Just like, and I have Tomastic infill. I play flat strings as well. So it really, and we have a supertone matam. I've got my own sort of 200-watt valve head, which is fantastic. But I found out actually your sound's actually here as well, though. That's really,
Yeah.
yeah, it is, isn't it? Isn't
It is.
that weird though, with all this kind of gear going on? You go, no, it's here. Hi.
Very much so.
So yeah, Mike Lowell and Spencer Lowell now. So yeah, that's my. I feel I'm almost overwhelmed talking about it because it's like, when you that's the beauty of when I'm in this loving relationship, and there are things that I don't know I need, and Simon knows, and he sorts, he loves me, he encourages me as a bass player, and it's so beautiful to have that, and I've learned so much through each bass that I've got, the different sort of palette that I need, and why I have different basses. It's an incredible Well, I feel very humbled actually. I'm just a very lucky girl, as they would say. Mm.
Nice.
Mm.
I was scrolling through your pictures and you pick that one up and it's yeah, oh yeah, okay. That's
Really
that's
good as
your
well.
bass.
I mean, it's really nicely balanced as well. You know, so the old Gibsons, they tend to like be quite heavy on the headstock, but this one just it's solid though. I mean, God. And I've got to say, I mean, when I first started playing, you know, I just have my, you know, when you're not trying to be anyone else, you're just loving the music, and you just end up playing the way you do. So I mean, there were four people, like, because I think sometimes you've got to learn what is it, what's your role, you know, in the band as a bass player, you know. So I'm the rhythm, and I've got to work with the drummer, really, you know, you know, and it's all quite exciting. And I was listening to like Andy Fraser and Free and Tina Weymouth, you know, and these people, and you've got to really understand that. And then you just set about playing. You don't, I didn't, you know, and you find your way. And that's the one thing I'd say is like just be you when you're playing, you know. Just if you find a song that you love to play, or you're a songwriter yourself, that's the one thing that I really think is quite key, is just to be you, to use the instrument to express what it is that you want to say as you as a person, you know. Like there are so many fantastic women. Do you know what, as well, since I knew I was talking to you, I'm checking out all these women bass players. I mean, they are seriously incredible.
Oh
And
yeah.
it's like, you know, and it's almost like there was one point I was thinking, oh, crumbs, and you know, we're going to talk, you know, and it's like, and it's what's so lovely is that we can all be ourselves. It's the only thing we can do, and the only thing, and we are everything. It's just to do what you do your thing, whether or not you're not into jazz or into heavy rock, or you just like to keep it simple. As long as you're enjoying it, and do, you know, that's it. Just be you, and there's space for all of us to do our thing. I think that's it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well put. Well put. So I understand you had a hand in developing supertone cables, and I was curious how that came about. What is that
Wow.
about?
That's I have a little notes here as well, because actually, no, where did I put it? Oh yeah. Do you know, it's really funny. I said, oh, okay, if we talk about this supertone cable now, I
Yeah.
didn't know, but obviously a certain partner, a husband of mine, is obsessed with a cable, you know, and you end up sort of getting co-obsessed together. So he wanted this durable cable that doesn't change the tone, and he's a real sort of scientist about it as well. So apparently uh, you you can lose tone, you can lose quality over the length of a cable. So he wanted to get. We did these experiments where we were testing out different cables just to see if there was any change in the tone of from, especially if you've got a passive bass and a weak signal in it, you can lose it. So I know that this is a summer cable. So this is the final supertone cable, right? We've decided it's summer. I've written it down. Spirit LLX. It's an ultra low capacitance cable, so you don't lose a lot of the top end. The maximum length we'll sell it for is 6 meters, because that's after that it does diminish. And my favorite bit is the switching jack, so it stops the popping when you pull
Oh,
out.
yeah, it's built into the jack.
Yeah, it's a new trick, and it's gold plated. Stop corrosion. You say.
Yeah. Okay.
So
That makes sense. The
earlier
jack
on,
shaft.
I was just going into like the science of all this, and it just disconnects before you get to the point where it pops. So it's really good for me, because sometimes I get a bit excited, especially if I'm quick changing on stage and I forget to mute. So you know, it's really good. But yeah, so we have these cables, and funny enough, there's a couple of people we know have been the big doubters, and you know, who we've said just take it away, borrow it, test it, and they've ended up going, "You're right," but it's a scientific fact. It's like
Yeah.
it is a fact, and
Yeah.
so it's just really a case of yeah, cable. You know, for passive good instruments, it's a good thing to have, and yeah, it's good quality as well. So there you go,
Nice.
cables. Who'd have thought?
No, definitely. That's why one of the reasons we're having this party is all put that all out there.
Yeah.
What advice? I ask this as because I teach, and so I'm always getting a certain type of question from a certain demographic. So I figured I'd just subject you guys to this too, because maybe you have some insights I don't. What advice do you have for high school students looking to go into music school or applying for college?
Um, this is interesting, because I didn't necessarily know, say, for what I wanted to do. So how do you know what you're good at unless you try it? So I found a course like at Salford. We were the first Salford University, which is really Manchester and Salford are near enough. They're separate cities, but very close to each other. It was the first course in the country that had a degree in sound recording. So in the basement, they had recording studios. Oh yeah, yeah. But I went and did the medium performance course, and what I loved about that and what it helped me doing is that it was a broad spectrum, so I could find out what worked. I could find out if I was any good at any of this with my peers, and then decide. So in terms of in college, it's also, yeah, it's like try and get something that's broad. If you don't know, find a course that is a so that you can discover, because not everybody knows what they want to do, or if it's really difficult. And I think now, especially, you don't have a job for life. I mean, that's just something that just doesn't happen anymore. I think you have to be multi-talented and multi-skilled. And so um the broad spectrum for me is find something that gives you that choice if you need that to discover what it is. um and just be curious. I will say that as well, for anybody who's studying, the best thing you can do, you can go to the best place, but um, if you're not engaged in it, it doesn't matter. You've got to play your part. You've got, yeah, and think out. And also with courses, though, it's not just in the course. Never just in the course. It's the people you meet. The people you meet are just as important, if not more, than what you're learning, because and also but it's also how you make people feel. So in a band as well, it's really important that you get on and that you're good with people, and I think that's just something you should really start to think about, that it's not just about talent. What did BB King say? He'd rather take someone on the road that wasn't a great guitar player but was great to hang out with. He can make them a better guitar player on the way, but you can't change an arsehole for being an arsehole type person, as it were. you know and so that really is another thing in terms of college. It's like it's the people you meet. It's because that they kind of connect you in after you've graduated, um, and just sort of being good with people, and just being a good egg, really.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense. So this has been a pleasure, I have to say. Lots of good, just wisdom, insights, stories. I want to see if you have any final thoughts you want to leave everybody with.
Celebrate being you. Just enjoy being you, and and say yes more than you say no.
Mm,
Be curious, because I'm always like, and stop thinking 3 steps ahead, right? Because and talking yourself out of an opportunity. Just there's one good thing. It's like we all say, like there's a corridor of doors. If you it's always good to push on a door if some doors are open for you. But if one does open, have a look inside. And if you like what you see, go on in, because inevitably there'll be more doors that you can push on when you're in the room. And if you don't like what's inside, move along. These aren't the joys you're looking for. It's one of those. But I think sometimes in life it's really important that we don't try and project negativity. That every day now, it's been such a good thing, especially with the pandemic, is that I'm starting off with hope in my heart, with a good intention. Um, and I think, do you know what? My life's changed because it feels I'm a bit more confident. I'm more confident talking to people because I'm trusting. I also call it like trusting the universe, Because there was one point when every day we just woke up and had this mantra, we love each other, we have each other, we trust the universe, just to sort of reset the whole day, because it was getting a bit intense. So it's one of these things where I just think, you can only really control this bit here, and that's you, but just take care of you, and go on adventures, do things, and especially, I don't care. It's not the age thing that matters. It's what you do with your life. It's the quality of your life. It's like you can still be picking up a guitar in your mid 40s and rocking out. Nothing's stopping you. Even if 60. I mean, I've got to tell you, today there was a carnival in Zamora Correa, where we live. Fantastic. I mean, we've not seen people since the lockdown, really, properly in a carnival situation. And on this float, there must have been a 75-year-old granny with a white wig, and she had a silver big dress on. And I'm thinking, go girl. And it's like, they were just so joyous. It's like, stop thinking about age and just get on with it. Get on with getting on. There you go.
Nice. Well said. Suzy, thank you
You.
for your time, for your wisdom, for your graciousness in this interview. I appreciate it. And thank you for being one of the Wonder Women who told their stories of playing bass.
Thank you so much. It's such an honor to be here. Thank you.
I'm honored. Thank you. Take care.
Skinny thighs in a trashy magazine.